And now I would like to invite the Ambassador of the United States, Ms. Georgette Mosbacher.
Thank you very much. Before I start my short remarks, I'd like to recognize one of the greatest American patriots and a woman who is an incredible role model for girls and women around the world, and that is Secretary Madeleine Albright. Madam Secretary. It's an honor for me to be here today to speak about the importance of NATO and our special relationship with Poland. A special thanks goes to the German Marshall Fund and to the Polish Institute for International Affairs for organizing today's conference. Let us also take a moment to remember the extraordinary man who the organization was founded in memory of, George Marshall. Few leaders have ever served in the exalted positions that General Marshall served in. Few people have ever had an impact on the world that he had during his lifetime. He was both an extraordinary leader and a brilliant planner. Winston Churchill called General Marshall the organizer of the Allied victory. After the war, Marshall was appointed Secretary of State and was in charge of the ambitious plans to rebuild Europe, the European Recovery Program, known today as the Marshall Plan. Secretary Marshall was awarded the Nobel Peace Prize for the post-war work in 1953. 30 years later, another extraordinary leader received the Nobel Peace Prize, Poland's Lech Wałęsa. I remember first meeting President Wałęsa in 1989 when he addressed the United States Congress, and I attended a state dinner honoring him hosted by President Bush. President Bush, in his toast to Wałęsa, said it all. "You have defined your country, resolute in defeat, magnanimous in victory." Poland, barely removed from the shadow of the Iron Curtain, went on to join the greatest alliance in history, NATO. I think President Reagan characterized it best. When he went on in 1988, he went to the NATO summit and he said, "Our first priority is to maintain a strong and healthy partnership between North America and Europe. For this is the foundation on which the cause of freedom so crucially depends." To echo President Trump from his July 27 visit here, quote, "The United States has demonstrated, not merely with words, but with its actions, that we stand firmly behind Article 5. I was with Vice President Pence just last month here in Warsaw as he spoke to the US and Polish troops and said, "The United States of America stands with Poland as a part of the most successful mutual defense alliance in the history of the world, and we always will." At President Trump's urging the NATO members to share the burden of mutual defense, in the past 2 years, the number of NATO members spending at least 2% of their GDP on defense has doubled. And the majority of NATO members now have plans in place to meet their financial obligations by 2024. Poland is already meeting that 2% commitment. The need for maintaining this level of vigilance has not diminished. Russia's ongoing war in Ukraine and continued desire to disrupt the NATO alliance are the realities that we must continue to face. In 2016, Warsaw hosted the NATO summit. At that time, allies took the decision to establish enhanced forward presence in Poland and the Baltic states as part of the European Defense Initiative. During his visit to Poland last month, Secretary of State Mike Pompeo traveled to Orzic to see the battle group in action and deliver the message that NATO is ready to act if necessary. I have seen the U.S. presence here myself. Shortly after my arrival in Poland last September, I visited the U.S. troops in Powice, where the United States has an established presence and is currently investing millions of dollars in infrastructure projects in support of NATO's enhanced forward presence. On Monday, I will join President Duda in Szczecin as he concludes a series of visits to military facilities in Poland to highlight this NATO anniversary. Ladies and gentlemen, if anyone ever asks you what NATO is and what role America plays in NATO, you can tell them we are one and the same. NATO is much more than an organization. NATO stands for something far more powerful. NATO stands for an ideal, and that ideal is freedom. May God bless America, and may God bless Poland. Thank you very much.